guys, how's it going? Hey, my name is Jeremiah Pedersen, and this is BJ Soper. Dude, you guys, I appreciate you for allowing us to come talk to you, for taking time out of your day to come listen to us, to talk to you about people's rights. So I hope that this presentation is extremely helpful to you, and I hope it gives you encouragement, and hope it gives you hope, and I hope it educates you and informs you. So yeah, let's get into it. So most of you guys are probably asking, what is people's rights? First of all, who has heard of people's rights? Okay, a few of you, good. So anyways, what is people's rights? People's rights was formed to help people unite in order to keep, maintain, and support our constitutional rights, our inalienable rights, our God-given rights. That's what it is. That's what we are all about, is helping each other unite and support each other to do so, to keep our rights. So these rights are very simple: life, liberty, and the ownership of property, right? So life, you have the right to live. No one can take that away from you. You have the right, liberty, you have the right to control your life, to direct your life in any manner you see fit. Okay? Ownership of property, obviously you got the right to own your own property, okay? Now, many of us right now are experiencing our rights being taken away from us. In fact, this process has been going on for a long time, decades. Even if you don't know what the Constitution says, you know in your heart that your freedoms are being stripped away from you right before your eyes. Some of you have seen this coming for many years, but even more have become aware of this within the last year. So we have a governor right now who is supposed to be a servant of the people, but instead she's acting like a dictator or a queen. How many of you know, or how many of you knew that Kate Brown has broken over a dozen laws in the Oregon State Constitution? Yeah. So anyways, people's rights, it was created and put into action by Ammon Bundy. Now, some of you might have heard of him, maybe in the news, and some of you might even have a negative point of view about him. And that's because the news has smeared his name to the extreme. They call him an extremist, a violent man, an anarchist, a right-winged racist and paramilitarist, etc., etc., etc. What the news didn't tell you is that he stood up to a corrupt people in our government who did wrong to him and his family. And yes, he had the balls. He had balls enough to resort to violence if the corrupt people brought it to that. And guess what? They did. Okay? He stood his ground, and his case went all the way to the Supreme Court, where he won. But the mainstream media will never tell you about that. So people's rights is nothing without you, the people. No one runs people's rights. Ammon Bundy does not run it. He just created it. He put it out there for us to use, okay? It's only run by those who step up and take the lead. It's terrifying. Let me start over, okay? So people's rights is only run by those who step up and take the lead. It's terrifying to do so. It will require sacrifice to do so. You'll have to give up your personal time. You'll have to make decisions and move forward on them. We're here to tell you today, or we're here today to share with you our successes and hand you guys on a silver platter everything that we have started. Now, you may not like it. You may not use some of that stuff, and that's okay. You guys might have a better method for some of these things. In which case, if you do, we'll probably adapt your method over ours. Dude, that's what it's all about. We just want to help you guys, and hopefully you guys can help us at the same time. So, yeah, and you guys, we've gone through months and months. We're coming up on a year almost of this group just becoming what it is today. And it's been a long journey and much trial and error and just a lot of effort. Okay? So what we share with you may not work. You might create a better system, and we might adopt that better system. The goal is to help each other keep, maintain, and defend our rights. Okay? Now, in our group, we've identified 4 aspects that we feel everyone needs to be involved in. Those 4 things are, first and foremost, communication. Okay? One thing that Ammon Bundy did about this group was he immediately created a communication system. And we're going to talk more about that later. Okay? But we also need a method of communicating on social media. So we have that. We also want a method of communicating in case everything goes black. Ham radios. I'm going to talk more about that too. All right. Second, education. You got to know the Constitution, both the state and the federal. How can you defend your rights if you don't know what you're defending? You must know that. It is very important. Okay? Third, we encourage small groups of patriots. We call them LGOPs, little groups of patriots. All right? This is 4 to 6 families that get together on a regular basis, and you guys get to know each other, first of all, your fellowship, and then you support each other and keep each other accountable in your prepping, in your constitutional education, firearms training if you want to do something like that. So yeah, little groups of patriots, and that is your support group in case shit hits the fan, and to help you through this whole process and just be there. I have 5 families in my LGOP. I only knew one person prior to being involved in people's rights. They're now new friends. I've created new friends. Anyways, all right. Fourth is prepping. Okay. During a time of emergency, and to help you stand your ground, we must prepare for the worst. Okay. You got to be prepared, and we're going to get into that too, and we're going to share a whole bunch of stuff with you that's going to just help you skyrocket to that level. All right. All right. So, who is people's rights? Who is it? Dude, it's us. It's people in the United States. It's Americans. It comprises of those of us who just want to live our lives in the pursuit of happiness. Those of us who strive. It's those of us who strive to provide for our families, who try to make a world a better place for our children. How many of you just simply want to be left alone to live your life? So do I. And it pretty much applies to every single person in our group. We just want to be left alone and live our life. But we're being treaded upon. So hence, people's rights. All right. The only way... Oh, wait. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Who we are not. We are not a legal team. We are not associated with the police. We are not politicians. We're not a religious group either. However, attorneys, they cringe at that, attorneys, politicians, police officers, and religious people who are religious, they absolutely can be a part of the group on an individual basis, just not in any official capacity. And we do have attorneys. We do have officers. We do have religious people. And so, yeah. Also, we are definitely not anybody looking to undermine our God-given freedom. If you have somebody like that in your group, get rid of them. They do not belong in this group. Anybody who's looking to undermine your freedoms needs to be out. They might look like they fit in. They might talk like they fit in. But once you figure out that they don't fit in, kick them out. Remove them. Cut the ties now. Capiche? Capiche. Okay. Why? Next one is, why people's rights? Why did we create this group? Well, this group was created. The reason why this group was created is obvious to some, and it's a new concept to others. This past year, more than ever, it has become blatant that our freedoms are being undermined. The only way this is able to happen is when we, the people, allow it to happen. Okay? Now, when I say we allow it, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, I didn't allow none of this to happen. It happened without my consent. What I mean is this. Unless we stand up against such tyranny, it will continue to happen. Do you know in our Constitution, the Oregon Constitution that is, it says it is our duty to replace a government that is no longer representative of us, that no longer has our best interest in mind and doesn't represent us. It's your duty to stand up and replace that government. Okay? Now, it is fully understood when that Constitution was written that just because we want to say to our governor, hey, we're no longer pleased with you, it's time for you to step down, that she's going to step down willingly. That was not the idea when it was written. It was understood that that would not happen. Okay? Now, that being said, we must exhaust all avenues before we turn to violence and bloodshed. That is the last resort. Okay? None of us wants that. All right. Gonna scroll down. I was gonna add in there, we're taxed when we shouldn't be. We're being coerced and forced to do stuff against our will. And there's an agenda to discredit anyone who does not go along with this power grab, supported heavily by the mainstream media. All right. Where is people's rights? Dude, people's rights is nationwide. It's all over. Okay? All over the state. It's growing in numbers every single day. More and more people are getting involved. However, in Central Oregon, our people's rights group just happens to be the largest and the most organized and structured one, I guess. So yeah, whatever's happening in Central Oregon, people are hearing about it, people want to get involved, and people are getting involved. And our group is just phenomenal. It's just turning out so amazing. So blessed to be part of it. And that's why we're here today, because I want to share this with you. I want to help you guys. I want this group all over Oregon and beyond. Okay? But since this is my state, we're going to start here first. We started in my town, Redmond. Great. Moved to Bend, Madras, Terrebonne, Prineville, Sisters, and now we're moving out here to help you guys, okay? All right, so where do you meet? Well, I'll tell you where we meet. We meet at a restaurant in Sisters, okay? Now, this restaurant happens to be perfect. It's a golf clubhouse. They're closed for the season anyways, and they get to keep it open because we rent it out, and they make money, and they feed us. We pay for that. But, yeah, where would you meet? Dude, Grange halls, churches, parks, your houses, restaurants, bars, everywhere, anywhere, etc. We have the right to do that, to gather and meet. That's 100% acceptable, so do it. Make it happen, okay? When do you guys meet? When should you meet? When should you start a people's rights group? Okay, the answer to that question is now, often, and regularly. You need to start a people's rights group now in this area, okay? BJ and I, we're going to help you as best we can. Other members of our group are going to help you as best we can. But it's ultimately up to you guys. If you guys want your governor and your politicians just to walk all over and remove you of any and all freedoms, by all means, ignore everything I'm saying, go home, turn your TV on, and brainwash yourself. Who cares? Okay? What are you doing here? If you don't want that, you want your freedoms, and you want to maintain your life, then by all means, you must start this group. If it's not this group, start another group. I don't care. Do something. Unite to do this. Okay? All right. Let's talk about the 4 main components to get your very own people's rights started. All right? Communication, number 1 component. Okay, let's talk about that. So Ammon Bundy created this amazing communication system. We use it for several different ways. The first and most important way is in case shit happens, right? So in Central Oregon, there's been a couple cases that we've used this. It's a texting system that he's created. It's a texting system. So what happened was We had BLM in our town, in Bend, physically bullying this couple who was selling Trump paraphernalia on the street corner. Okay? They were not a part of the group. They are now, but they weren't. And someone in the Safeway's parking lot nearby saw what was going on. Walked over, observed it, put a text out to 800 people, and within a few minutes, we had about 150 people there. And that put a kibosh on their actions right there. BLM went away with their tails between. They got caught red-handed. Yeah, not good for them. Although nothing happened to them because our DA is corrupt, but that's another story. So anyways, another time, same couple who are now a part of us got bullied again. Dude, this lady who sells these Trump hats and paraphernalia, she's 70 plus years old. Dude, this dude pushed her down to the ground. They texted us. We showed up again. And there was even a little scuffle that time. Fortunately, I wasn't there for that one. But yeah, it prevented them from getting even more hurt. And her husband, he got punched in the face. Yeah, he got hurt. There were bruises on his face. But you know what? Since he was part of People's Rights, he showed up the next day to our meeting. He spoke on a microphone, and he was pumped. He had the most confidence in him to continue doing what he was doing because they were fucking terrified, dude. They were fucking terrified. That lady had a big-ass black man push her down. But knowing that we have their back meant all the difference in the world. Okay? This next story is probably by far the most beneficial way this system has been used thus far. There's this couple in Washington. Okay, they were getting ready to have a baby during COVID. They knew they had a quarantine for 2 weeks beforehand. Mom quarantined. If she quarantines for 2 fucking weeks, there's no way she has COVID. If she's quarantined, that's not even possible. Okay? Guess what? They go to the hospital. She has to get a test. She takes a test, no worries. When she wakes up from post-surgery, it was a C-section, she looks around and she asks, wait, where's my baby? Oh, the nurse told her straight to her face, says, hey, oh, you tested positive for COVID. She's your baby's quarantining. You can't see her. Who the fuck do you think you are going to tell a mom she cannot have her baby? What the fuck is up with that? That's what happened. Real life. In fucking America, that happened, you guys. Dude, this shit's getting real. If you don't believe me, how can you not? I mean, just whatever. Anyways, dad's flipping out. He doesn't know what to do. Finally gets a hold of someone in People's Rights. Dude, the next day, 400 people showed up to that hospital. 400! They were calling. They were sending emails. Dude, the next day, after that, the hospital gave the baby back. Says, here you go. It turns out it was a false positive. Now get the heck out of here, please. Right? So, all right. Communication. So that's the text and communication. We also use the text and communication to onboard new members. Why do we want to onboard new members? We want to know who's in a group. Okay. Now, are we going to get infiltrated? Yeah, probably. Who cares? It's not like we're doing anything illegal. All right. But we do want to be cautious. We do want to be cautious. So we have some an onboarding thing. You text rights to 80123. You guys can all do that right now. I don't care. Go ahead and text rights to 80123 if you haven't already. You're going to get a form texted back to you, a link to a form. Fill that form out completely. Use your full name. And yeah, don't use some Joe anti-mask wearer or whatever you want to put yourself. Don't. If we see that, we just delete those people. They're not allowed into the group. They're not allowed to, we just delete them. We don't know who they are. Dude, we're here to protect and watch out for each other. So if I don't know who you are and you give me some fake name, dude, I'm just going to delete you. Okay? So, yeah, text rights to that. Fill out the form. That form helps direct you to the right area, okay? So that's going to direct you to the Lakeview area or wherever you are, to the Central Oregon area. That way, the communication that you receive is relevant to you, okay? Because there's no point in you getting a text for somebody in Washington or somebody in Iowa. What are you going to do? Nothing. You can't do it. So there's that. And then we also use it to send out regular updates. BJ sends an update every single week. It's just a quick little text. Usually has a link to a video, and we can just watch a little video of him giving the weekly updates, okay? So it works perfect for that. We don't want to use it too much because we want to save it for emergencies. We don't want people getting used to it. So we do try to limit that. And the main purpose is for emergencies. Okay, so next. Social media, man. You guys, we use our phones all the time. We're always on our phones. You got to have a social media place to go communicate. So we found an app. It's the Slack app. We have our entire group in there pretty much, and we vet even more so. Everyone that goes into that app, we vet. We need to know. We need to make sure that they're at least a patriot, okay? So if we can't figure that out, we don't allow them in. Simple as that. And then within this app, we have a whole bunch of different subgroups. We got one for LGOPs, one for area assistance, one just a general area. We have another subgroup called the Big Nickel, where we can just go and, it's like a yard sale, just buy and sell stuff, all kinds of stuff. And then lastly, and the most important communication method that you guys need is the ham radios. Got to get your ham radios, okay? Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, dude, this form of communication has long been dead. Guess what? That's not true. I thought that too. It's just not true. So anyways, ham radios. You can get a walkie-talkie ham radio for like $40. And actually, in fact, everybody here needs one. Whether or not you're part of people's rights, it doesn't matter. You need one because in case shit hits the fan and the power grid goes down, we can still communicate. You can still communicate over the frequencies, over the radio waves, okay? Those aren't going anywhere. Okay, so that's why we want and we push in ham radios. So we have a couple guys in our group. Oh my gosh. Dude, they have put together for us a set of frequencies and just structured this group in such a tremendous way to make it so easy for everyone else to do. Okay, so they've set aside frequencies for area assistance. They set aside frequencies for LGOP leaders. So my LGOP group has our own little frequency that we use to communicate on with each other. We have one for our whole area so that we can tune in to listen to communication if we need to on a different frequency. And then they even program our walkie-talkies. They program, and we'll teach you guys how to do that as well. We'll give you all the information you need, and we'll teach you guys how to do this. Make it nice and easy for you so you're not struggling to figure it out yourselves. But you do have to take action and actually do it. Okay? All right. That's the ham radio. Boom. Next one. Prepping. Dude, if shit hits the fan, how can you help others if you yourself need help? Think about that. Excuse me. You can't. You can't help anybody else if you need help first. It doesn't work. So the burden must be upon everyone. Some of you are preppers already, and that's awesome. You are way ahead of the game. But if you're like me, and maybe you live paycheck to paycheck, or you just didn't think it was that big of a deal in the past, and you're starting from scratch, you're way behind. You better get on it now. I've only been on it for a couple of months. We've already got 30 days worth of food saved up for my whole family. And that's the starting point. And we started our get home bag and then working on more. So thankfully in my LGOP, we have one guy who was a prepper. And so he just brings in his stuff that he's already got prepped, and we just take notes and start buying it. So he brought his get home bag. This is the bag he keeps in his truck in case he's somewhere not at home and he needs to get home, but his truck's not working, or whatever the case might be. So he grabs, this is everything he needs in that bag to get home because he's got family at home. So he took everything out of the bag, just walked us through why he has it, what he has it for. I took notes, wrote everything down, and bam, now we're starting to create a bag. And we're going to give you guys this information as well, okay? All right. Constitutional studies. Dude, the more you know, the better you are able to keep, maintain, and defend your rights. Dude, as G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle. For example, Did you know that in the Oregon Constitution it says point 1, point 2, point 3? I got to come up with something for that. All right. And the last thing of the 4 main components is LGOPs, okay? This group consists of 4 to 6 families, ideally located near each other, that you will depend on to support each other in your stand for freedom. Okay, these are the guys you're going to depend on to support each other in your stand for freedom. Everyone in my LGOP lives within a couple miles of each other. We meet up and we have dinner together at my family or at my house typically, and we meet up every other week. First and foremost, the purpose of this meeting, first and foremost, is to get to know each other. I only knew one person in my LGOP before People's Rights. And now I have a whole new set of friends. It's awesome. It's awesome, you guys. I love it. I'm getting to know these guys. Dude, I got this guy, Larry, in my group. And he wanted to be here today. He couldn't. But, dude, Larry, man, is so freaking amazing. You look at him and you think, dude, who is this guy? But, dude, he's awesome. Dude, that's all I'm going to say. He's awesome. So, I love these guys, dude. It's amazing. Okay. All right, let's do, where are we at? So we've discussed a game plan. This is the fun part. You discuss a game plan of where you're going to go. What's going to happen? Like, okay, what if this situation happens? What are you going to do? What if DHS comes to your house? What are you going to do? All kinds of scenarios. We've kind of figured out a little game plan and a plan of action. So, yeah. Let's see here. We have our own frequency on the ham radio. I talked about that. We communicate and practice on that pretty much every week. And come springtime, we're going to coordinate our food and try to see if we can't coordinate and each person grow a different thing or each person grow the same thing, one or the other, so that we can support each other with food. Let's see. As your area is just getting started out, you might only have 1 or 2 LGOP groups, and that's fine. As more people come, they're just going to start their own, and you're going to help them. You're going to guide them in that. They need your help in that, okay? All right. Now let's talk about optional groups, because there's so much more that we can do. So much more. So those are the ones I just talked about. Those are the 4 main ones that everyone needs to be involved in, okay? That's just an absolute must for us to help each other. All right, so these other ones. First responders. Dude, this is BJ's pride and joy. These guys post up security. Dude, these guys train like none other. They put in so much time and effort, and everyone appreciates them. And they're the frontline guys. Dude, they're the guys that are going to come running towards the gunfire. I don't know what I'd do without these guys. I appreciate them so much, and I'm happy that these people are stepping up to do it. I wish I could step up to do it. I just don't have the capacity. So I'll help however I can. Mask Force. Dude, this subgroup would not exist. Would not exist if it wasn't for one man and a couple other people. But this one man in particular, he has poured his heart and soul into this group. Dude, he's... and we're so thankful for it, dude. So what he has done is, it started out with masquerades, It was kind of crass, kind of harsh. We went into businesses without masks in groups of like 10 to 15, and they really couldn't stop us. It was pretty fun. But, it didn't give us the best image, so we did that twice, and that was it. Anyways, what he has done since is he has sat down and put the time and the effort in to create this mask booklet. And he uses, what he's done, he's researched all the different laws that show us that you can go into any place of business that's open to the public without a mask, legally. And he's even found out that if a business kicks you out for not wearing a mask, they are doing so illegally. It's illegal for them to do that. It's discrimination. Okay? Did you know that no one can tell you to wear a mask except for a doctor who knows your medical history? Did you know that? Huh, yeah. If you're an employee working at a store that requires you to wear masks, did you know that in the OSHA's guidelines dictate that employer must check your oxygen levels every so often. And that wearing a mask for a prolonged period of time, your oxygen levels are below OSHA's threshold. Doesn't that seem a little odd to you that OSHA is the one enforcing all of this? Yeah, very odd. Sounds like there's some corruption going on by the name of Michael Woods, who's the OSHA director. There you go. Okay. We have the Medical Freedom Group. Dude, Medical Freedom Group. It was started and formed by moms. A few of them. Only a few of them. These moms who just absolutely care about medical freedom, okay? It has a big part to play in vaccines, and I know, as I mentioned, vaccines is a very controversial subject, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people are divided about that, but hey. So what it is they fight against the government's ploy to dictate the people's health, okay? And vaccines is a huge part of that. Dude, I'm going to tell you about my little vaccine story, okay? I'm going to step up on a soapbox. And I know there's a lot of people like, dude, you fucking don't you anti-vaxxer, you fucking stupid, you conspiracy theorist, right? Dude, I get that a lot. Here's what happened. I got 4 kids. My firstborn daughter, my wife came to me and said she didn't want a vaccine, my firstborn daughter. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? You crazy lady, you gotta be joking me. This is my firstborn daughter and you don't want to vaccinate her? Dude, were you vaccinated? Yes. Was I vaccinated? Yes. Did you turn out fine? Maybe. I'm absolutely fine. Why would I not vaccinate her? Come on now. Okay? My daughter has all of her vaccinations. 2 years later, my son is born, my firstborn son. Same thing. Wife doesn't want to vaccinate him. She keeps pressing me about it. He has about half of his vaccinations. Okay? We compromised. She talked me into it. Our 3rd pregnancy, my twins, they are not vaccinated. My wife pressed me that I finally looked into it. And boy, was I blown away. And man, do I regret vaccinating my first 2. I am so thankful there is nothing wrong with them. So thankful. But knowing what I now know, I would never do it again. There's no way I'm not gonna consider another vaccine. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? First of all, if you're gonna vaccinate, I mean, it's gotta be for a big deal, like polio. I mean, that's pretty life debilitating, right? So, I mean, of course, I wanted my kids to get vaccinated in polio at first. But anyways, once I started looking into it, listening to my wife, I learned what was going on in these vaccines. I learned a lot about the history of these vaccines, and I learned a lot about the corruption behind these vaccines. And that's why I'm very anti-vax right now, okay? Not that all vaccines are bad, okay? I'm not saying that all vaccines are bad. But the vaccines today, I won't even consider it. Not a chance. How many of you guys knew the corruption behind the vaccines? Like, meaning, these big pharma companies are not held accountable for their vaccines, okay? That means they are pushing out shitty, toxic, bad for you vaccines. Unlike what I got, which was still toxic when I was a kid, it's at a whole nother level today, okay? And they're not held accountable for it. They don't have to go through the testing. And what do we hear on the news? Oh, that takes such long testing. But yet we're pushing out a vaccine that wasn't even tested in 2020. Oh, we're calling it a miracle. Trump called it a miracle vaccine. Okay? The corruption behind the big pharmas creating this. They make nothing but money. They lose zero. However, did you know that our federal health department pays out billions every single year for vaccine injuries? Did you know that? No, the mainstream media will never tell you that. All right? All right, so I'll step down now. All right, let's move on. Another subgroup, we have a prayer group, right? We're not a religious organization, but a lot of our members are seeing the corruption and the evil. And they're starting to believe in God now more than ever. So, we pray. We have a prayer group. I'm part of this group. Pray for our country. Pray for each other. Homeschool group. Next one. Homeschool group. Dude, my wife heads this group up. Okay? She homeschools. Let me ask you a question. A lot of people have a negative viewpoint on homeschoolers. And rightly so, because, you see a lot of them and they have like pants that don't fit and they look weird. They don't fit in socially, right? Well, that was a huge concern of mine at first. But let me ask you this question. How many of you trust your government? Raise your hand. Oh, weird. No one's raising their hand. So then why do you trust your government to teach your kids? I don't trust my government to teach my kids. It is not my government's role to educate my kids. So yeah, when my wife told me that she wanted to homeschool, I'm like, heck yeah, absolutely. No one is going to love you more or love my kids more than my mom or than their mom. No one's going to teach their kids better. No one's going to care for them and raise them up in the way they should go better than my wife. Okay? So absolutely, I want her to homeschool, and I'm so thankful that she does, and she does an amazing job. Okay? Not only that, my wife is phenomenal. She helps other people homeschool. This is the only way I can describe it. Whatever she says to these people to homeschool, it's like magic. She has magical words. We've had several friends who were just so vehemently against homeschooling. They would never do it. There's so many better options. Why would you homeschool, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? One conversation with my wife, and the next school year, they homeschool. I don't know what she says to them, but whatever it is, it works. And they're homeschooling, and they're doing it successfully, okay? So, that being said, my wife wants to help you guys. If you want to pull your kids out of school, if you have pulled your kids out of school, talk to my wife, okay? Last year we started a business, a homeschool consulting business. She talks to people on the phone, she meets with people in person, and they pay her for it. And whatever she does, it's helpful to them. They're so appreciative. People come up to me all the time. I have no idea who they are, but they're like, oh, you're Amy's wife or Amy's husband. You're Jeremiah. I'm like, yeah, hi. And they tell me, thank you. Tell your wife, thank you so much. I took what she said, I did it, and it's working. Okay, I'll tell her. Okay. Now, the reason we started this homeschool business is because people don't like help for free. They want to pay for it. Okay? So, that being said, when you call my wife, just straight call her and ask her for help or reach out to her on Facebook or something. She's not going to press you for a payment. If you want to pay, you bring it up and you send her some Venmo money or something like that. She's not going to ask you for payment. Okay? So if you have the means to pay, if you want to pay, please pay. If you don't sweat it. Call her anyways. I mean, I was more me pushing her into that than anything because, dude, I know people they don't want to take free help. So I said, fine, we'll charge them for it. No big deal. So, and we're capitalists, you know. Oh no, go sue me. Well, I want to make money. Hey. So anyways, Food Network. That's another subgroup. Dude, if they make it so that you can't go buy food at the store, how are you going to get your food? Yeah. Think about that. So, your garden, you're going to eat everything out of your garden. How long is that going to last in Oregon? Only a few months. So co-op gardens, co-op dairies, co-op meat farms, etc. Get together, figure that out. We've done some, and we'll pass that to you, but work on that yourselves too. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much the end of it. There might be one or two groups that I'm missing, but and we're actually there is more groups. We have more groups. As people step up, we're able to create more groups, and people's skill sets and interests and passions work out. So, yeah. Do I have any questions? All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.